Good evening, dear friends. Good evening, dear listeners. I'm very happy that you came to listen to my topic, which is very personal, I should say, because even though I'm not connected to the history, I'm not connected even to science. Well, I am connected, but I'm not a scientist. It was very important for me personally to make this research to discover the information about German colonies and actually to discover information about my family because that was my main target why I started this. And I started this research somewhere in 2017, even though I knew already by this time that I have German roots. This information was very limited because my father was not showing me documents that he has. My father was telling me some information, but not all that he knows. And because at some point he decided to apply for this late settlers, uh, I started the research. I started getting information. Okay, where my relatives were living, where exactly are they from? And this was coming to more and more information at the end. Once again, I'm not a, historian, so don't expect too much from me. I cannot give you a very scientific information, but at the same time, I am sure that even if you are a scientist that is discovering this topic, that you will hear some interesting things today, and also you will hear a personal story, which is also very important, right? So now let's go further. Today's speech would consist of two parts. First part is the story of German colonies that existed from 18th till 20th century. And second part would be my personal investigation of my family tree. What exactly I found out, which methods did I try out, what was useful, what was not so useful. Like you will get a lot of information today. So we will start from the history, how these German colonies appeared. This was due to manifesto from 1763, and that all appeared because Catherine II came to power. As you know, she is actually ethnical German. So she was born in Stettin, actually, which is now Szczecin in Poland, not far from Berlin, well, relatively. And the place of birth still exists, by the way. It's a fortress, Zamek Książąt Pomorskich. Sorry, I don't speak Polish. Because she was ethnical German, she was very much interested in involving Germans, but in general foreigners to come to Russian Empire. So her first attempt was actually just half a year later. So same year as she came to power, she published first manifesto. Not so many people actually were interested in it because it was not given much preferences. It was not given much details why it should be interesting to relocate. So she made a second try a little bit more than half year later. In 1763, she published the second manifesto. And this one was very important that actually changed the history and involved so many foreigners to come to Russian Empire. You see that this manifesto, you see it on the screen, is in German, and of course there would be a question, why is it in German? So the original one was of course published in Russian, you can see it, but the German one is the most popular on the internet because this was some kind of advertisement. It was published in German, French, and English languages and spread it throughout the world. And the most spreaded version was actually German, because that was a main target. Yeah, Germans that were living in Germany or Austro-Hungarian Empire, for them to come to Russian Empire. That's why actually it's much easier to find German version than Russian at this time. And by the way, it was published also even in newspapers in Germany. So really, a lot of people got this information and used their opportunity and relocated to Russian Empire thanks to that. I have to say that there is a very important thing. This manifesto was targeted to any foreigner. So it doesn't matter if it was German or another person, like anybody could come to Russian Empire. And I will tell a bit more later, but there were also not so many rules who can come exactly. Now, I want also to mention, like in details, what exactly was it given. It was complete religious freedom. And at that time, there was a big fight against other religions in Germany. Well, we will say about Prussia. Yeah. So at that time, Mennonites, they were quite radical. They were very pacifistic against any kind of military service, against any kind of wars, and also Catholics and other official religions of Germany. I will say Germany, but of course at that time it was Prussia and other small kingdoms. They were fighting them, and in some cases it was even physical fighting. In other cases, like in Prussia, it was just excluding them from a regular life, not allowing them to buy land and so on. So, of course, that was a great opportunity for them to live a normal life. And additional to that, it was a 30-year tax exemption. It was also including a tax-free sales trade, sorry. So it was just a very big gift to those who wanted to start their business. Just imagine 30 years without taxes. And right to self-governance. That was also very important to these groups of people that wanted to stay in their societies, not mix up, not integrate to other societies due to religion or some other reasons. And that was the reason actually why these German settlements existed. Like they tried to be in the same group of people and not intersecting with others. It was especially about religious groups, but of course others were intersecting with other societies, which were not so radical from point of religion. Uh, in this case, I would also mention, because it's important, about a historical fact that even though Catherine II influenced so much on this history of German colonies, she also negatively influenced on Ukrainian history, because that was a person that next year in 1764 abolished the hetmanate, and a few years later in 1775 she destructed Zaporizhian Sich. So even though it was so positive for Germans and other foreigners, at the same time it was very destructive for Ukrainian history, this person. That was not the end. In 1804, there was a decree that changed the rules of this immigration into Russian Empire. So in 1801, Alexander I came to power, And a few years later, he was not so fast as Catherine II. He signed a decree which changed the rules of this immigration quite significantly. For example, he ended the open door policy to any foreigners. No, it was not anymore like that. So it was focused on Germans. He thought that quality over quantity is an important rule. So, for example, there was a financial requirement to relocate to Russian Empire. From now on, only really rich people could relocate. And also, there was a family focus that not just one person could relocate, that should be a family so that they could bring lots of people, like a family, and that would proceed living in Russian Empire, not just the person that would earn money and go back. And also important to say in case of my speech about the target region, because before that, people could relocate to relatively any area of Russian Empire. Since this decree, that was southern Ukraine. So they targeted exactly on that area. And that's why we have so many German colonies exactly on southern of today's Ukraine. So it was nowadays Odessa Oblast region, sorry, then Mykolaiv region, also some parts of nowadays Moldova. And before that, because this decree started its power in 1804, before that, a lot of people also arrived in nowadays Volhynia. So like a border with Belarus. But surprisingly, as far as I could see, there were not that many German colonies in nowadays Belarus. So they were mainly in either Russia nowadays or Moldova or southern of Ukraine. So now we will go to geography. As I already mentioned, this is a very great map that shows these immigrations, how people from Prussia and also from other areas have moved to Russian Empire. In this case, you cannot see the information about Austrian-Hungarian Empire, even though there was also immigration as well. And when I was preparing my speech, I even found a Deutsche Welle video about one of German's settlements near Mukachevo, nowadays Mukachevo. But this is a separate topic, yeah? So we are talking about other settlements, German settlements that arrived from nowadays Germany. And as you can see, there were quite some near Saratov, for example, but mainly, and I have to say, just for your understanding, it was hundreds of thousands of people. So it was really, really a lot. Just on Volyn, there were more than 100,000. I'm not even telling about others. So there were really a lot of people. Most of them were living inside of the settlements. However, not all of them. For example, coming to my personal history, my personal German roots were not living in such settlements, but they were nearby. They were not living inside of them, but they were nearby. Now, I have also to mention, good that I did not forgot about it, about Hortica. There was a big settlement on Hortica Island in nearby, and that was one of main settlements of Mennonites, those religious Germans that decided to make their settlement and protect themselves from this um, from these fights against their religion. Um, but of course, there are also a lot of other known settlements. You can see the list of them on your screen, and probably I won't stop on them. I will just go further, and we'll show you one more map, which is even more interesting. So I found one project which somebody did a very great job. Like they collected all the names and places of settlements and put them on the map, which is actually Google Maps. You can create your own map with points there. And this map shows, I think, probably almost all settlements that existed in general. Why is it important? Because nowadays many settlements are not existing anymore, or some of them have changed their names. So using this tool, you can actually find where that exact settlement existed. If you are interested, but before I will show you the QR code, I have to say, if you will open it from your mobile phone, be aware that this map would be connected to your mobile phone Google Maps as a layer, and then to disable it, you have to disable this layer. So just be aware, it's not so obvious how to do it. Be prepared. If I will maybe show after we have Q&A session, I will show how to do it, but just make sure that you will be able to do it after that. So this is a QR code with which you can open this map and take a look on your mobile phone or maybe some other source. This is the same. So I came to this map from that website that you see a link above. And this QR code is like bringing you to the map itself. So not to the website that have created it. So really a big thanks to the person that did this job. Uh, I think a lot of people are thankful to this person for this, what he did. Now let's come to the topic of tragedy and destruction. Like why actually these colonies disappeared? What happened exactly? And unfortunately, this is all due to tragic history that was happening on our lands. And first of all, this is, of course, revolution and civil war. I have to say that there were quite optimistic expectations from German colonies when so-called Ukrainian People Republic appeared, because as you all know, it was supported by German government, and of course that would be a very good future for these German colonies if that would have future. But unfortunately, as history have shown, this Ukrainian country did not exist for a long time. And also there were quite hard wartime, especially also on southern of Ukraine, nowadays Ukraine. For example, the army of Denikin came to some lands of Odessa region, and they were killing these Germans in German settlements because they thought that they are supporting this pro-German Ukrainian government. So unfortunately, this very bloody time started, and a lot of people at that time had to relocate to other areas. For example, I know about a big emigration to Canada and USA at these times. Some of people returned back to Germany. Some, but not that many people stayed. It depends. Then later there was Soviet era, and at the start it was not that bad. But you know, like the main ideology, the main idea of Soviet government was, for example, collectivization. And the main idea of these German settlements was actually private ownership, because they were building their own business, they had their own land, they were very much economically successful thanks to what they did. And all this was actually taken from them. Like, imagine their feelings. Then, of course, that was uh, fight with religion, which was also very much critical for Mennonites that relocated. So their churches were forbidden, everything was destroyed. And also Holodomor, which also happened at this lands, it destroyed not only Ukrainians, but also these German settlements as well. I have to mention also that in end of 30s, not only um, Ukrainian schools and so on were forbidden, but also German schools were forbidden, even though Soviet government was telling about a great friendship with German government. De facto, by acts that were done against other nations that were living in Soviet Union, there were no exemptions for Germans that were living in Soviet Union. So German schools were closed. So really dark times, and you could think what could be worse, but then Second World War happened, and this was actually the end, because first people were forced to relocate to Kazakhstan or Siberia because Soviet government thought that it's from security point of view, they should not allow Germans to live near the war zone. They could give information, be spies, and so on. So they forced to relocate these people to other settlements. In case of my family, it's known that my family, my German roots, I mean, have relocated to another areas of USSR. But at the same time, the evacuation of Kiev was forbidden. And thus, people like Germans that stayed in Kiev at that time, they had no choice to actually become in this occupation. And then history have shown that these people, they were evaluated as those that are against USSR, against Soviet regime. So really dark times. But what is even worse, people that actually stayed and became in this occupied territory, occupied by Germans, uh, they later were forced to relocate to occupied Poland because when Soviet army started getting these lands back, Germans, I mean the German government or Nazi government, better saying, thought, okay, they are Germans, we have to care about them, and thus we have to force them to relocate. And unluckily, uh, even though these people stayed in these occupied Polish areas, later in these areas came Soviet army. And this meant that there were great repressions against these people, which again, they were not allowed to go back to their German settlements. They were forced to go to Kazakhstan or to Siberia. And this all German settlements after Second World War, they changed their names. There are no German names that left. Almost nothing have preserved. All buildings were used by Soviet people, and no Germans, I mean ethnical Germans, were allowed to come back. That's actually how all this disappeared. Because at some point of my research, it was before COVID, I was thinking about visiting these German settlements and started checking, okay, what exactly could I visit? Maybe exactly that village that is in my genealogy, like in my family tree. But I found out that actually there's nothing left from Germans there. It's either just a normal village, normal Ukrainian village without anything left, or it's even non-existent village anymore. Because sometimes the village could become just a field with nothing left. Now we will come to my personal story. I was some kind of detective to find more information about my family, about my roots. And I will tell about the tools that I have used in this case. And that would be also some kind of suggestions for you. If you are interested to start this journey, it is a long journey, I have to say, what exactly is useful, what is not useful. First of all, I recommend you to collect all possible data from your relatives. Why is it important? Because I found out that there was so many information that is lost because people are not living forever. And these people, they knew a lot, but they were not passing this information to next generations. So a lot of information was lost because of that. By the way, I talked to one person which I found by DNA test. And in this case, the problem was that people were not sharing this information just because of Soviet times. People were not talking much about their German roots. So this is also a problem, unfortunately. Collect information as much as possible because you will never have more information than you have now. You will have only less in the future. Get as much as possible. One of problems that I faced, quite funny, some relatives are telling information that differs from each other. So some person would say A, another person would say B, and you have to decide on your own what is actually true. So you could also face this problem, especially if you have a lot of different generations that have their points of view. Then I also tried Google search at the time, and at that time AI was not so maybe even it did not exist at that time. I mean, in case of or in form of ChatGPT, of course, it wasn't. And try to find as much information as possible. And in this case, I could already say to you, don't expect that much because not that many information is digitalized, unfortunately, especially in case of Soviet documents. There's nothing digitalized. A lot of information is just lost. Just it's not preserved anywhere. And however, what I could say for sure, a lot of information preserves in German sources because Germans, they are very strict about saving this information in archives. A lot of information is preserved in US and Canada. Like you can find information about ships that arrived with people 150 years ago. Like they have all these lists, they digitalize them and so on, and they have all these lists. That's really cool. Now, third possible thing that you could use is try searching Ukrainian archives. But again, as I said from my experience, you won't find that much. Like my father, I was not doing it in person. My father was making requests, official requests to get information. and there was almost nothing, unfortunately, because just as an example, my family roots, like when my relative was born, she was born and registered in church book. Now, think about it. Where is this church book now? When the church was destroyed, also this church book was destroyed. So, of course, this information is not preserved. That's why I suggest you two other ways which are the most successful. It's actually building a big family tree, fill in all known data, and after that you can make a research. I will tell in more details how this works. And DNA research. But DNA research is also quite tricky, so I will mention it a bit later. And the most important thing, even if you have zero results, like I had at the start, continue your research. Believe me or not, but after some time, you will have results if you continue doing it. That's very surprising because at the start I thought, okay, I did not find anything, so what can I do? But then after some time, I got some piece of information, then some more piece, and then suddenly, due to these pieces, I got a big piece of information. So it's very important that you will proceed and will not give up. Now we are coming to documents that I actually had. They are very, very valuable. They are very historical because they are more than 100 years old. And this actually helped in my research. And I will just tell you as an example what exactly I got from these documents. Exactly as an example using them. So in case of birth certificate, which is written in German, I found the name of Martha Alex's father and his profession. At that time, profession was written in any documents. It was very important to show the social status of this person. So in this case, we know that he was a coachman or driver of carriages. Then we found her mother's name and also her maiden name, which helped, for example, to understand what was the surname of her parents. Place of birth, which was actually also very critical because from this we found out where her sisters or brothers could be born. Because, you know, at this time, families did not have just one kid. That was time when families had 5 kids or 10 even kids sometimes. Really a lot. And there is a very big chance that if you know this information, that you will find some brothers or sisters of this person, especially if you know his or her father or mother and date of birth and place of birth. And also very important was the place where this certificate was issued. In this case, it was by the way, I did not mention, so place of birth was Shadraw, which is Polish Szczodrowo near Danzig, or today it's Gdansk. So it was West Prussia, and the place where this birth certificate was issued was Schöneck, which is today Skarszewy, also Polish village, of course, due to historical events. And I think that the church still exists. At least I saw this on photos during my research. There is still a German church there. Then we are coming to identity document of my relative. Again, from this document, we first of all, it's in 2 languages, which actually helped a lot, because sometimes it's really, really hard to read what is written in German and by duplicating, for example, the name of the village where he was born. It was almost impossible to read it, but thanks to text in Russian, we found it. And it also has profession, which in this case is carriage maker. Funny, yeah. So they all were in the same field, but from different professions of this field. So he was repairing all these carriages, which was quite good profession. We got his date of birth. We got his place of birth, which was Hochstublau. Today it's Polish Zblewo, also near Danzig. So now we get where they meet each other. Uh, Also, we find out that this document was issued in Odessa. So we know that he was living somewhere near Odessa at the time. And we find that maybe you see on the bottom of this document, probably you see my cursor. On the bottom of the document, there is a text. From this text, we find out that he relocated to another place where he lived later in Sofiivka, or at least in Sofiivka region. Sofiivka still exists. It's a village, maybe a city, I'm not sure, like 6,000 people. Is it a city or not? But 6,000 people today. It's a, let's say, village between Dnipro and Kryvyi Rih. So it still exists. Of course, nothing to do with German colony, and actually at that time as well. It was not a German colony. However, there were German colonies nearby. And we also know that he was living in Miropil, but that would come from the next document. So next document is marriage certificate, and it's saying that this marriage happened in Miropil. It's a small village near this Sofiivka. We can also read from this document that about their age, which doesn't give us new information. We already know it. We get their religion, so we know that they were not Mennonites. They were Baptists and Lutheran religion. And we also find out that for Gustav Janke, sorry, that was a second marriage. And actually, this was approved by my relatives. They told that he even had kids from that first wife, but she died from some disease. Divorces were very rare at that time. Yeah, so a lot of information actually, but what to do with this information? That was a main problem for me. I decided to systemize all this and to build a family tree. So you can see two services of where you can build a family tree. I have to say, of course, it's far from the complete list. It's just two that I used most actively. So family search and MyHeritage. And for example, in case of second, they are promoting the subscription, a paid subscription, but still you can use it for free if you build a family tree not more than 300 people, which, for example, I have at the moment. What I did, I tried to fill this family tree as much as possible. Not only putting the name, but also putting in the date of birth, place of birth, and so on and so on. And this actually helped me in the future, but I will come to this later. One of problems, to be honest, was which name to use, because there are like two ways how you can write, or even three ways, let's say, how you can write the person's name. First is Cyrillic, second is Latin, And besides that, you can write it in Ukrainian or you can write it in Russian. And for example, in case of Soviet documents, of course, it was Russian. So you have to choose in which way you will fill out this information. Because after you fill information, there is an automatic search in the documents. You cannot use the result of this search without paying a subscription, but at least you will find out, okay, there is something found or there is nothing found. And like I used Latin way of writing of names for my German relatives, which of course was a very good decision because thanks to that I found something. I even don't remember which one I used, Russian or probably Russian for Soviet times, yeah, because there was no other choice if I want to find something and not just have family tree which would not give any result in case of search. Um, yeah, so what did I find thanks to this family tree? At some point, there was an information at MyHeritage, which is actually some kind of aggregation of all information. They have, as I already mentioned, information, digitalized information from Canadian archives, from US archives, a little bit, but not that much from Soviet archives, German archives, which is also very important. And they are increasing amount of this information every time. So when you are paying subscription, you are like supporting this. And thanks to that, but not at the same time, I found some information. I found that there is a person with the same name and very similar date of birth. So there was a difference in one day, I think, which was the place of birth was not mentioned as same, but I checked, okay, where is it? And I found that this is a village nearby. So I thought, okay, it's very mm, like low probability that this is another person. And then I found out that also the father and mother are same names. And imagine, like, I clicked and I found 5 brothers of this person immediately because somebody was collecting this information, built this family tree, and thanks to that, by filling my information that I have, I found this information due to this search. That's why I want to say it's very important for you to build this family tree, even if you are not going to make this search, because by that you can at least help other people that are making their research to find some information about roots that are coming from your side. So after this search, I found out something like a family tree out of few thousands of people, some in a good sense crazy person in Canada created this very big family tree, involved a lot of people from different roots of it, and this also was information about my German roots. So thanks to that I found more information about the father and mother of like my relative, about brothers that we did not know at all. We just knew that they relocated to Canada and US. We did not know more. Thanks to that, we found their families in Canada and US, like where exactly they are living, in which settlements, and so on. This is very interesting. After some time, I thought, okay, I will not find anything else besides that. Suddenly, another trigger of information appeared about Martha Alex. Remember this second person? So we knew about her father and mother, and suddenly there was an intersection, and we found more information about this route. So that's amazing. This was not in the first months after I filled out my family tree. It's important to mention. This was after a few months. I also was proactively searching myself, trying to get more information. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So make all that you could do. Now we are coming about the second topic about DNA search. And in this case, I'm mentioning two services that I have used. And I will share my logic why I did in this way. So I found on the internet that 23andMe allows not only to do a DNA test, but they also give the raw DNA data as a file that you can download and then upload to another service. And that's what I did. So I did a test at 23andMe. I downloaded the DNA data and uploaded it to MyHeritage. So at the end, I had a DNA search on two services, which is, of course, more than just one. And I am finding relatives, DNA relatives in both of these services. I cannot say that there was some big revolution that, oh God, I found my brother or my grandfather that I did not expect. Of course, like there were no surprises from this point of view. However, you also have a lot of noise information, I mean, because you get relatives that have 0.5% and it's way too low percentage. You don't understand what is that. What I could say, the relative that I knew in person had 1 point, I think, 5% intersection with me. So, and this was, we had same grandfather, something, or grandmother. So, you know, like many generations above. However, even in that case, I had surprises. The negative side of DNA search is that it really depends on people, on their will to communicate to you. Because in many cases, they just do a DNA test, they don't write their real name, they don't respond to your messages. So I have, for example, one intersection which is quite good, something like 0.9%, which is promising. And I wrote to this person 3 times and I never got a response. I don't know where is this person coming from. Same situation about another person, which I know the name, but I was not able to find any other contact, and this person never responded me. Please do not do so. Do not do so. If you do a DNA test, please respond to other people that are trying to make a research. However, for example, I wrote to one person in Canada, I think, which gave me a contact of another person which is living in Germany, and said that please contact him. He made a really good research and he knows a lot of information. And we started talking to each other, and we found out that his relatives were living in the German colonies not far from the villages that I mentioned today in my speech. So this means that even though we were not able to find an exact intersection in our DNA, like who exactly is our same relative, we found that it's definitely not just a coincidence that we are some kind of blood relatives. Another example like that was when I wrote to another girl. I even invited her in this call, but I am not sure that she's here. And we found that she has a relative with the surname Janke, which I have, like in my roots. However, like in that previous case, we were not able to find the exact place where is it coming from, only approximately. So from one point, it's very interesting research, but it did not give exact results at the end. If not counting that you find persons that are related to you, to your roots. So now I will go to, I actually already mentioned, I already started mentioning all this. One more research, one more finding that I forgot to mention was quite funny. I found far relatives of my mother in Uzbekistan. We knew that they exist, but thanks to the fact that I built a family tree and they also built a family tree, even though we did not have any channels of communication, we found each other. So again, the most effective way to find relatives in this way is if you will build your family tree, which is for free. So do it. And then you can use other ways. You can actively make a research or something else. Like, do it. And I will end my speech with conclusions, like what you have to do and what you should not do. I did not mention about DNA search, that there are a lot of services that allow you to upload your raw DNA file and give you some medical reports or something else. Be really careful with sharing your DNA data because this is very personal. Do not do that, even though nowadays people could not do that much. You never know what will happen in the far future. Uh, Choose services that you can trust. And in this case, I think that should, even though there's no guarantee, there's never guarantee, uh, try to use big services like I mentioned today. And do not upload to something really small where you never know where this data will go. Also, there are a lot of false alarms about intersections, about same names and so on. When this is a person with the same name, which was living in absolutely different years, in absolutely different places, or have different parents and so on and so on. And you have to deal with it, unfortunately, because this is like a work for you. To get some result, you have to work. And as I already mentioned, DNA search is very useful, but it depends on social contacts. If person would not respond to you, you will never get any information from this person. Build your family tree now. This is super important. This would help other people in their research. Please response to other people when they have questions. And any family research, it requires a lot of time. And what is the most important, persistence. Because if you are not persistent, if you do not continue, then you will end up with nothing or with some minimal result. If you will proceed, you will get something, believe me. Thank you very much for your attention. Was very glad.